Very good evening to one and all. We welcome you to the Deccan Positive Mental Health webinar series. We welcome today resource person Mr. Matt Perelstein, co-founder EQ4 Peace USA, and we welcome today participants and our teammates on behalf of Manasa Subkara and Mindcare Hyderabad in association with Yellow Pond Counseling Center, Hyderabad, India, 4S Creative Heart Studio, Punjab. Thank you all. Over to intro section, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for that welcome address. And speaker for today, Mr. Matt Perelstein, sir, has been teaching emotional intelligence for almost 40 years in the US and beyond. He believes that one of the biggest problems in the world today is the lack of emotional education. And so he co-founded and runs an international non-profit organization called EQ4 Peace Worldwide International, teaching emotional and peace education to all the ages, from preschool to PhDs. Please welcome Mr. Matt as we explore how to bring positive mental health and peace inside and around us. So with that short introduction, very honored to have you here. Pleased to have you once again, sir. Thank you so much for being here, and over to you. The floor is yours.
Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you. As you can see, I'm very happy to be here. I love talking about this subject. It's one of the most important subjects there is, and I'm proud to be associated with you, with Deccan and you guys, and I think it's great that you use the word positive mental health even in your name. That's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. If you search positive mental health, there's not that much on it, but it's starting to skyrocket, so I'm very happy about that. So okay, let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation. Give me just a second here. We get started with, okay, we're talking about emotional intelligence and how that leads to positive mental health. So you know about emotional intelligence a little bit, but I'm going to go into just, and we're going to start with the end in mind. We're going to start with the end in mind, which is peace. Okay, our nonprofit is called EQ4 Peace. We're trying to create peace in the world, inside of us and outside of us and in the world. So peace is the end, and that's what we're trying to, that's the goal here. To get there, especially with inner peace, we need to start with being smart about ourselves and our inner workings in our inner world. So we're discussing emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is how it works, right? We understand how it works. Positive mental health is putting that to work, how to work it, how to put it to work, strategies and skills, and using emotional intelligence to smartly, to be smart with our heart, as we call it. And then I ask at the end is that you, A, learn about you, but B, spread this information, because most people don't know. They don't know anything about their emotions. It's scary how clueless people are about their emotions. It really is. So we're starting with the goal of peace. Begin with the end in mind, right? Stephen Covey said peace. And we start with our inside of us. We're trying to create inner peace, interpersonal peace between us, social peace among us, and eventually when enough of us know how to create peace, maybe we can have world peace for all of us, maybe, right? The Dalai Lama said, world peace begins with inner peace. Through inner peace, genuine world peace can be achieved. That's a big deal in itself. That's very cool. Peace must first be created within ourselves, then gradually expanded to include our families, our communities, and ultimately the whole planet. So that's the basis of our nonprofit. That is why I'm here today in the middle of the night talking to you guys. And that is one of my big goals for my life is to teach people what they don't know about emotional intelligence, and so we can get some peace. So maybe. I know there's problems happening in India. There's big problems in the United States. People are so clueless about this that it's scary. It really is actually scary. Not knowing about your emotions is dangerous, it turns out, for ourselves and for others. And so That's what I'm doing here. Here's, I just like this guy. It's a statue. I don't know. It's, I think it's funny that I put it in the presentation, but I just like his face. He just looks peaceful, and that's what the goal of all this is, to be peaceful. So he makes me laugh because he's just peaceful. That's how I see it. Anyway, that's the goal. That's the goal. So I wanted to start with this. I love this this quick steps, the 4 steps to learning anything, not just learning emotional intelligence, but to learning anything. And a lot of people find this useful. We first start off where we don't know that we don't know. We're unconsciously incompetent. That means we don't know that we don't know that we don't know. And so, that's how a lot of people are with emotions. They don't know about them. They didn't learn about them in school. They didn't talk about them at home, and you better not deal with them at work. And so how are you supposed to learn this stuff? They don't, and they don't know that they don't know. They're just happening. They're living their lives as best they can, but they are not aware that they don't know about their emotions very well, because we don't even use that word very often. So what happens next is that we progress, we get better, we actually learn that we don't know. That's a step. It sounds like it's not, but it is. It's a step. We find out that we don't know. Okay. Then, and only then, can we find out how to do it better, which is becoming consciously competent. We can figure out how to do it better. You guys are here spending your time at a webinar talking about emotions and trying to learn better. You're becoming consciously competent right now. Which is cool. Good for you. Well done. You're succeeding. You take classes, you learn, you talk to people, whatever, but you are aware that you don't know. And so you're trying to find out. And it's called a growth mindset, as opposed to a fixed mindset, that you're willing to learn and to find out how to do better, right? Eventually, you can get to step 4, maybe. I'm hoping to get there someday, which is unconsciously competent, which means you're just doing it. It becomes a habit, your default, and you just know. You just know, you don't know until you know. That's a famous line I like that line from a Disney movie. You don't know until you know. So it's just helpful to see that you're moving ahead. It's that you're making some progress and you're learning. So I find that useful. So let's talk about emotional intelligence. It turns out that we have 2 sides of our brain, 2 sides, not one, 2 sides of our brain. The left side is our logical, analytical, reasoning side, right? That's where we focus. That's where our society focuses. That's where our education focuses, both in your culture and ours. And we are left brain society. This is where all of our education is based on. Not all of it, but most of it is based on learning information, knowledge, facts, analysis, logical, cognitive thinking, right? Good stuff. Great stuff. Keep doing that, right? However, there's a whole nother side. There's a whole nother side of us, right? There's a whole nother side of us. Our passion, our creativity, our feelings, our right brain is where our senses are, etc. So what it's a problem that we understand our left brain pretty well, but we don't understand our right brain very well. And the key is to try to balance the 2. All right. Some people go, well, emotional intelligence, that's so important. It's more important than IQ. Well, I don't know about that. I disagree. I think the key is to balance the 2. What that looks like is when we make decisions and when we think of stuff, we go, it's got to make sense. It's got to make sense and feel good or feel right. Both. That's balance. Does it make sense and does it feel right? That's balance, okay? That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Problem is, we don't learn about that stuff in school. We learn about our left brain stuff. We don't learn about our right brain, and that is a problem. In fact, in my opinion, or in what we're finding, is that the lack of emotional education is one of the biggest problems in the world today. It's leading to violence and abuse and addictions, and the worst to me is suicide. Suicide is skyrocketing in India, among the young people, especially in the United States. Now, like third leading cause of death is suicide. That's unbelievable to me, and that is so. It's very, very, very sad. I'm getting teary here just talking about it. I know some people that have committed suicide. If you know anybody has, it's unreal. It's such a terrible feeling, and to know that it's so avoidable. We don't have to. If we would have known, if we learned how to deal with our thoughts and our feelings, then they may still be here and can manage things. But anyway, suicide's horrible and getting worse. Divorce, mental health issues. Clearly, now they're finding, study after study is finding that the physical health issues, they're connecting emotions with our physical health. Our severe illnesses are often connected with abuse and problems that happen in our childhood. They're called ACE, adverse childhood experiences. What they're doing is connecting how when bad stuff happened to you as a kid, bad stuff's going to happen to you as an adult. That's kind of like no kidding, but the bad stuff that happened to you emotionally, if you don't deal with it, it turns into physical problems as an adult. Physical problems, that's a big deal. Medical health problems, physical health problems, that's wild to me. And it's skyrocketing too. Also is taken off because they're starting to go, wow, this is really a big deal. And it's a cause. It explains a lot of things. And it's amazing to me. So we're studying that, trying to get people aware of it and what to do about it. So a bunch of crime, even wars, based on stuff, people not having empathy for each other, not caring if you kill somebody, that kind of stuff. That's tough. Man, it's all from a lack of emotional intelligence. I think it's the number one biggest problem in the world today. That's my opinion. Hard to prove it, of course, but that is my opinion. So we are born with everything we need. We just don't know how to use it. So it's an education issue. It's a problem. It's an education issue. The solution is teaching people about their emotions and learning about positive mental health. That's the solution, in my opinion, and it's working pretty well. But we have and some places in the United States, there a lot of the states now, it's law. It's required. Mental health education is now required in many schools in the United States, but it's just getting started, and we got so far to go. But I'm super happy that we're moving in that direction. I understand it's moving that way in India as well, and that makes me real happy. There's other countries as well that I talk to that are also moving that way, because people are going, the teachers know. You guys, a lot of you probably are teachers. Teachers know, that have known this for a long time. We're talking about, especially in the US where it's all test-based, we're talking about knowledge and information. That's a good thing. But we don't teach people about how to deal with their own self in their inner world. The kids have no idea, and we don't spend any time educating them on that, and that's just wrong, in my opinion. Teachers know this. They'd be like, no kidding, right? It's kind of like they've been saying it for years, but they don't have time. They don't know how to teach it because they're not taught how to teach it. It's a problem. So we're trying to teach the teachers and get it into schools everywhere. That's one of the bases of our nonprofit. So emotional education is key to this whole thing. Aristotle said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. Well, that's a little bit severe, but you get the idea. We got to learn about both sides of our brain, both sides, because study after study after study is showing that emotions matter a lot, way more than we ever imagined before, way more than we ever imagined. They affect every single area of our life: school, work, home, everything, society, culture. All of it is based on, so much of it is based on emotion. Not all of it, but a lot of it is based on that. And most people don't want to talk about it, especially guys don't want to talk about emotions. As soon as you use that word, they're just turned off completely, and that's a shame. It's sad and it's dangerous. It's actually a bad thing. It's dangerous. As you know, I'm sure in the United States, people have an emotion and they go shoot somebody or they shoot themselves or something, and it's just awful. There's one of the mass killings that happened in the U.S. was at a fair not too far from our house, actually. And while the guy was shooting, there was a pause in the shooting, and one of the people that was hiding yelled out, "Why are you doing this?" And the guy yelled back to them, "Because I'm angry." Hello, is that what you do with your angers? You go shoot a bunch of people? Come on. That's wrong, right? That's emotional education, failure of emotional education right there. The great example. They actually think that we had a 6-year-old shot their teacher just a couple weeks ago. Why? I didn't like her. That's how I deal with it. I didn't like her, so I shot her. Like, what? Right? Number one form of entertainment in the world, video games. Number one video game in the world, Grand Theft Auto. Number one purpose of Grand Theft Auto: hurt people, kill people, run over people, take stuff, do whatever you want to do what you need to do to get points, and you get rewarded for that. Come on, right? That's just absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong, because emotions matter so much more than we ever thought. Don't get me started. Actually, I'm already started. I love talking about this stuff, but I get all emotional because it's so important. Emotional intelligence is the study of our emotions, knowing how to use them. We got our left brain, we don't even know how to use them, no less being able to on our right brain, right? We don't even know what they mean or how to identify them or how to understand them. It's just not, it's not being taught yet. So we're working on that. But emotional intelligence is the knowledge around that, right? It was started by Daniel Goleman. Well, there's argument about who started it. It doesn't matter. This book that he wrote is one of the most popular books of all time on emotional intelligence. And he said it's called Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Like I said, I don't think it matters more than IQ. I think it's a balance thing. We got to do both. We got two sides of our brain. They both matter. They both matter a lot. The way it works is that here's kind of how emotions get started inside of us, how it goes inside, is that stuff happens, right? Stuff happens outside of us, right? Stuff happens, right? If we get out of bed in the morning, stuff's going to happen. Even if we don't get out of bed in the morning, stuff's going to happen. It happens. It just is. People do what they do. The world does what it does. The country does what it does. The economy, the government, the weather, all that stuff is happening, right? It's happening. So that's outside of us. And then we have thoughts and feelings about what's happening. Well, guess what? Now it's inside of us. All of a sudden, boom, it's inside of us. We have thoughts and feelings about what's happening. So it's now inside of us, and now we got to deal with it. So, and I'll talk more about this in a minute. We have thoughts and feelings, and here's how we process them. We first become aware of them. Hopefully, this is a key. Hopefully, you become aware of what you're thinking and feeling both. You then accept them. That's a big deal too. And I'll talk more about these in a minute. We accept what's going on inside of us and that we created it and that there are thoughts and our feelings and all that. We'd accept that. And then we look at it and go, okay, is this working for me? Is this how I want it to be? What's happening? What do I do with this? That kind of thing. So I evaluate what's going on. Then I make a decision based on my thoughts and feelings of what's happening, right? I decide what I'm going to do. Well, when the next step is doing action or no action, right? A lot of times with high emotions, especially, no action is a good action. Don't do anything. Don't do anything. I can think and feel whatever I want to, and I can decide not to act. I do not have to shoot anybody. I do not have to yell at anybody. I do not have to whatever. I don't have to. I can choose. I get to choose. I get to choose my actions. So the reason I put these with the arrows is that the 3 steps: awareness, acceptance, action, or no action are really our in our control. They're inside of us. We are in control. Actually, action, when it turns into an action, that's where it gets outside of us. And we got warning, right? You can think and feel whatever you want to, but when it gets to an action, now it's outside, and now there's going to be consequences. Now there's other people involved. And that's look out. I just realized this not too long ago, is that actions are a whole different beast, right? Awareness and acceptance is inside. Thoughts and feelings are inside. Action is outside. Here we go. Look out. So anyway, we got to do them. We're still acting. We're still doing. Even not acting is acting. So our actions, a bunch of our actions become who we are, what we do, our behaviors, right? And that's the results we get in our life. So conclusion is that it starts off outside of us. Then we have thoughts and feelings that's inside of us, and then we go action. We do our actions and get our results outside of us again. So it's the inside part that I want to talk about, right? The outside, there's a little bit we can do about outside, but there's a lot we can do on the inside, and that's what we don't learn, and that's the key to this whole thing, and that's what I want to talk about, is what we do have power over, what we can control. So that's very, very, very good news. Very, very good news is that all this stuff is teachable. These are teachable, learnable skills. All of what's going on inside, how we process things, how we work with our thoughts and feelings and stuff is all teachable to kids, to people, to even us old folks that are old dogs. We can learn new tricks. We really can. We can learn how to be happier. We can learn how to be peaceful. We can learn how to succeed. That's all based on us. And that's a wonderful thing. Very, very good news. I also think this is the most practical subject there is, because we cannot not think, and we cannot not feel. And so 24/7, we're thinking and feeling. So it might be useful subject to learn, kind of, practical. I think it's the most practical subject there is, because it affects every second of every day for the rest of our days. So that's why I'm here jumping up and down about this. Here's the good news. This is really, really good news. We are in control of our own lives. This is fantastic, you guys. This is wonderful. No matter what happens outside, we have the power to control what happens inside. Woohoo, right? That is fantastic. It's up to us. Whether we're happy or grumpy, it's up to us. Whether we are ecstatic or miserable, it's up to us, right? We can we can't always control what goes on outside, but we can always control what goes on inside of us. And that is a very big deal. And that's why we need to educate ourselves and others. And it all starts with our thoughts. We have thoughts and feelings, but our thoughts come first, mostly, but our thoughts come first, and we can change our thoughts. If we have a thought, and we remember that evaluation phase, we have a thought, we become aware of it, we accept that we had that thought, we realize how it's affecting us, and we go, you know what? I don't like that thought. I don't even agree with that thought. We can have thoughts that we don't even agree with, right? Our thoughts are not us. They're just stuff going on inside of our brain. They're not really us. So we can look at our thoughts and go, you know what? I don't like that thought. I'm going to make a new thought. For example, okay, somebody steps on your toe. You're outside, people are around, but somebody stepped on your toe. Okay, so my thought is, oh man, they did that on purpose. That was so rude. I can't believe people don't care, and blah blah blah. And I start giving these thoughts, and then of course that creates our feelings, where we go, we're angry, we're disappointed, we're upset, we're separated from them, etc. Right? Your thoughts, that thought of he did it on purpose, becomes a really negative feeling, right? If you go, wait a minute, no, they probably didn't have any idea that my toe was there. It's crowded, there's people around, maybe somebody bumped into them, whatever. Maybe didn't have any idea that they'd stepped on my toe. So maybe it wasn't on purpose. And now I feel some compassion, some understanding, some calm, some whatever. It's not that big a deal, right? That kind of thing. Our thoughts create our feelings, and we can change our thoughts. We can change them if we want to. The greatest discovery of our generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitude of mind, our thoughts. As you think, so shall you be. So if your thoughts aren't working for you, change them, make new ones. You can't actually adjust them because you already had them. They're now in the past. The thought went through, but you can replace it with a new thought. You can have a better thought, and you can go with that thought. And like I said at the beginning, eventually you can, if you keep doing that for a while, you start to go, oh, I don't even have that thought, the negative thoughts anymore. I have a habit of creating positive thoughts because I do. Speaking of that, let's talk about positive mental health. All right. That's what the key to positive mental health. So that was all how it works. This is more of how to work it. Positive mental health based on positive psychology. You guys probably have heard of that. It's very popular, very, very popular now. Started by Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania. Positive psychology. He said the premise of this, the basis of positive psychology, is that they've been doing therapy for years and years and years and years, right? Hundreds, thousands of years. We've been working with people's mind and heart, right? He's saying that most of the time what they did was that people were normal, and when the reason they went to therapy is because it got negative, right? It got negative. They have issues, they have problems, they have concerns, they have all this stuff is going on inside, and it got negative. And the goal of psychology, the goal of therapy, was to get people back to normal, back to zero. So you went from normal, from zero down, and it was to get back to zero. And he said, wait a minute, we can do better than that. We can do better than that. If we learn about ourselves, we can actually do better than zero, better than normal. We can be powerful and positive and resilient and successful and peaceful and happy. We can go up here, right? So you don't have to stop at normal. Same thing with positive mental health. I think that's the key to this whole thing, is that if we can deal with our negatives, then we can come back up and have more positives. It does not mean, however, that we ignore the negatives. Sometimes, actually, but we don't ignore them. It's not that they're not happening, because they are. We have to deal with our negatives. We have to deal with our pain, our fear, our anger, our sadness, that kind of stuff. We learn how to deal with that. Then we can let them go and come back up to positive, and we can be happy and peaceful and successful, etc. And you can if you can deal with the negatives, you can have more positives. So that's what I'm saying with mental health. Mental health is usually a negative connotations to it. It's about problems and issues and disorders and all that. Well, it doesn't have to stop there. We got to deal with that stuff. We do have to deal with that stuff, but it doesn't have to stop there. We can be more positive. And you notice this little graph here is a little smiley face as we come back up again. So what I'm saying is that if we can deal with our fear, our anger, and our sadness, to me, those are the big three. There's a lot of theories about how many different basic emotions we have. I have a list of at least 12 of them. Absolutely, positively sure that these are how many emotions we have. Some of them say 2, some say 4, some say 8, some say 12, and they're absolutely sure they're all correct, right? Well, you decide. But I think there's 3 big negatives. The 3 big negatives are fear, anger, and sadness. And the reality is, in my opinion, and what we're working with and have been for an awfully long time, is that if you can deal with your fear, your biggest fears, your biggest anger, and your sadness, and all your deep sadness, if you can deal with those 3 things, just those 3 things, there just really isn't that much that life can throw at you that you cannot handle. You could be able to handle most anything if you can deal with your negatives. And that's what positive mental health is about, dealing with our negatives. So it's the skills and behaviors and competencies of putting your thoughts and feelings and emotions and decisions and actions to work for you to make your life look, and more importantly, feel as great as you want. Positive mental health, right? We're dealing with the negatives so that we can have more positives. That is a very big deal. Three basic steps to that. Like I said earlier, awareness, acceptance, and action. Awareness first. We can't do anything until we're aware. We can't do anything until we're aware. Right. So we got to be aware. It's called mindfulness. It's called consciousness. It's called being in the moment, in the present. It's just being aware of what's going on inside of us. A lot of people have no idea what they're feeling. They know what they're thinking, but they don't know. Actually, they don't even know all that much about what they're thinking, because there's different levels of thought, different levels of consciousness. And they're not that aware of those, and they're definitely not aware of what they're feeling, right? So awareness is first, got to be. Second is acceptance, and acceptance is a huge deal. It seems like, oh yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking and feeling. Okay, go on. Well, there's more to it than that. You're accepting who you are, you're accepting what's going on inside of you, you're accepting what's happening. And here comes the kicker of the whole thing. And in fact, I'm going to say this in a minute at the end, is that this is the key to the whole thing. This is the key to the whole thing, is acceptance. Because what I'm saying is, it's emotional responsibility. What you're accepting is that what I said earlier, that no matter what's happening outside, I am in charge of what goes on inside. Therefore, they're my thoughts and they're my feelings. No matter what's happening outside of us, I get to be in charge of what's going on inside of me. That is a big deal. That is a very, very, very big deal. To me, that's the turning point. That's the tipping point, if you will. That the difference between if you think the world did it to you, if you think they make you feel, somebody made me angry, that dude that stepped on my toe, that makes me angry when people do that. That makes me angry. Okay, he didn't make you angry, you made you angry. That's good news. That's good news. You decided that was a problem. You decided that he stepped on your toe on purpose. That's your problem. You did that. That's a good news, because that means you can change it. Like the example I gave earlier, you can decide something different. So no matter what happens outside, we get to be in control of what happens inside. If you think they did it to you, if you think it's the government and the economy and your wife and your teacher and the kids and all this stuff that's doing this to me, you're going to be a whiner and a blamer and a victim, and oh my gosh, and I can't control my life. I hope they change so that I can feel better. No, they're probably not going to change. If you think that you did it, if you know that you did it, because you did, if you know that you're in charge of you, then you can go. You can do amazing stuff. You can have a wonderful life no matter what's happening outside. No matter what's happening, you can have an awesome life if you choose, or not. It's up to you. But accepting emotional responsibility is the biggest part of this whole thing. If you don't take anything for what I'm ranting and raving about, it's that one thing, that your thoughts, your feelings, period. Not some of them, all of them. All of them. Nobody makes you angry. Nobody hurts your feelings. You do that. And that's good news. That is super good news. To me, that was a life changer. That's why I'm here, actually. It totally changed my life. That one sentence, that I'm in charge of me. I was like, wow, that's great. That is so great. When I realized that, I decided to learn as much as I could about it. And soon after that, I learned, you know what? Not only do I not know that, most people don't know that, have no idea. And so I decided to dedicate my life to teaching people this. Apparently, I'm supposed to be doing this. I don't know. It feels like my destiny kind of thing. And I'm saying, you guys, this is really important. You are in charge of you. And it's super good news. I love bringing good news to people. This is good news. This is very, very, very good news. So here's a big deal. This is a big deal. Also, this is how this works here. What we often have problems, right? Everybody's got problems. There's bad problems, good problems. Everybody's got problems. There's a difference between what do we do about a problem. What are you going to do about that? What are you going to do about that? Well, that is an action. That's an action. We have thoughts, we have feelings, and we have actions. What are you going to do about it is an action. What are you going to do, right? Do is a behavior. All right. And we got to fix our problems. We got to manage our problems. We got to be aware of our problems. We got to do stuff about our problems, right? However, in the same time, we also, the question, big question is, what do you do with the problem? Okay, that's a whole different story. That's a whole different story. No matter what you're going to do about it, what do you do with it? Meaning, what do you think and feel while you're having this problem? Before, during, and after the problem, what do you think and feel about the problem? In addition to what are you going to do about it? Those are a big difference, right? I was talking to my wife about this last night. Personally, just go personal here just for a minute. I have cancer. I've had it for a long time. It was doing really good. Here, I'm getting teary again. It was doing really good, and now it's not again. I was actually off of treatments. I were doing so good. They're so good at left brain medical sciences. I'm a big fan of medical science because I would not be here now if it wasn't for the medications that I've been on and the treatments. And it did so good that they took me off of treatment completely for over a year. Well, last week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I get tested every month. This test started coming back positive again, and I'm really sad about that. And so right, actually in a couple hours, I'm going for another treatment. I have to take medication and I get injections in my belly, and it's really cold. Their new technology is great and that kind of thing. That's what I'm doing about the problem. I'm doing what the doctors say. I'm going to get the treatments, and I try to, eat right and do all the stuff that they say to do about when I'm trying to do those things about the problem. But what do I do with it right in between there? What do I do with that? What do I do with that? What do I do with the thoughts and feelings about the fact that I have cancer and that it's getting worse again? I don't know, that's a whole different story. And that's where excuse me, that's where it gets interesting, and that's where I have control, and that's where I got to deal with. So we have thoughts and feelings. We got to deal with those in addition to our actions. That's my point. All right. So positive mental health is it's skill based, right? There's knowledge, that's EQ, but positive mental health is skill based. Number one skill of positive mental health is empathy. Empathy. It's about dealing with helping you be aware of other people's emotions and yours. Empathy for you first. What I put here? Okay, empathy for you first, right? Have some compassion for yourself and some understanding for yourself. That's a skill. that's a skill. It doesn't matter about the knowledge part. That's a skill, is being able to accept and be okay with yourself first. You can sometimes focus on others. You can listen carefully. I'll talk more about that in just a second. You can value curiosity, is about listening to people and saying, what's that like for you? It might be different for me. It might be completely different for me, but I can understand and listen to people and be curious. What's that like for you? What are you feeling? Right. I have a friend next door neighbor got attacked by a dog on Monday, just a few days ago, and she got severely attacked by the dog. They had to sew 3 of her fingers back on. They were, it's like, oh my God, what do you do with that? And I'm just like, what? And I was just asking her, what are you doing with that? What, man? Oh. And there's empathy is tough sometimes because you're feeling somebody else's feelings, and it's tough. It's kind of a guess. But it's also a magical connector between us, is that we can care a little bit, even or a lot, about other people. It's one of the most powerful things we can do. It's socially, we are social beings. We don't like to be alone all by ourselves. We are social beings as humans. And so empathy connects us, is that we care and we're willing to help other people, be with other people, not hurt them, that sort of thing. So we suspend judgment, which means you don't, it's not about my judgment. It's about them. What are you doing with it? What's going on for you? I don't have to agree. I can accept without agreement. Acceptance does not mean approval. I can say, wow, that's interesting what you're doing with that, without my judgment or even like, I don't even like that you're doing that, but that's you, right? You do you kind of thing. Anyway, we can speak clearly, carefully, and mindfully about other people and their feelings and appreciate that they're different than us. Empathy is a very, very big deal. There's different kinds of empathy. When I was writing this, I was run out of time. There's different types of empathy. There's different skills about empathy. Is a big deal. I run a bunch of social media groups, and we ask, what's the most important skill with emotional intelligence and positive mental health? Empathy, by far, by far. So try it. And it's about safety, emotional safety. And emotional safety starts with you. That means that if you don't judge yourself, if you do judge yourself, if you say like boys don't cry, or girls don't get angry, or if no, right? A lot of people just completely deny their feelings. That's not making it safe. That's not making it safe for you. Safety is about accepting that you feel what you feel and you think what you think, and then you can change it, But first, it's about accepting. You can be accepting of your thoughts and feelings, and you can be accepting of other people's thoughts and feelings. Guess what? They like that. They like it a lot. And so you want to have better relationships? Listen to people, shut up and listen to them, and accept that they are feeling what they're feeling, and make it safe. And you become super valuable to them if you can make it safe for them. Relationship skills. One of the best things, one of the most powerful things, is that we have the ability to open our heart as much as we want, whenever we want. And we can close our heart if we need to, if we want to, if people are not safe, or people are being butts or whatever, and bad things are happening. You can close down and be okay. And then you can open back up when you're ready. You can open back up, so you can have intimacy, you can have closeness, you can create some empathy in your life, and you can make your relationships work a lot better by opening and closing your heart at will. And so, like yesterday, I was with my grandkids all day, and I was wide open, and I love that. I would just open up, and they love it. I love it. They're wide open because they're little kids, and kids kind of start off open and they end up closing because they get hurt and don't handle their emotions, etc. But they're still little. One's 1 and one's 4, and they're little dinky girls, and they're just wide open. Oh, Grandpa! It's a beautiful thing. And so I just wide open. And anyway, I love it. So talk about you. You. That's what you know about. I feel, I think, I believe, I want. It sounds like you're being self-centered. You're being self-aware, you're being self-accepting, and talk about the one thing that you do know about, which is you, not about them. You don't say you did this and you da. I understand, I appreciate, I would like this. Right? Talk about you, because that way then you don't get an argument. This is what I think, this is what I feel. It's not up for a debate. I'm telling you what I think and feel. That's it. It's not you that's making me think and feel this. It's me. So great, right? If you take responsibility, then you can talk about yourself. Hashtags for peace. I like hashtags. I'm not that smart on my left brain, so I try to keep my right brain, keep it real short and simple for myself, so I can make sense of things. Purposeful positivity. Why be positive? On purpose. Do it on purpose, and do it for purpose. Why? Right? Why? Because it's better than being negative, because it's more fun than being negative, because I get more done, because I can think better. I can see more options. If I'm positive, generally positive, then I can see more options. People who are negative actually don't see some of the options, because they've shut themselves down and limited themselves to being a grump. Right? You can open up and see more. Exaggerate enthusiasm. As you can see, that's what I do, and I like it. It's fun. Exercise optimism as opposed to pessimism. Again, just being positive about yourself in the future. Listening with soul. I like this one. I didn't put that one in there. Oh, I've got a great picture. This isn't it. No, I got a great picture of a guy listening to this woman, and he's just listening. You stop what you're doing, you open your heart and you listen to people. Just listen to them. I call that soul. You accept that they're thinking and feeling whatever they're thinking and feeling, and you just shut up and listen to them. Just be quiet and listen to them. And people love that. People love that. They will tell you stuff you would believe, and it allows them to be them. It allows them to explore inside of them and become aware and accept themselves. And you are the hero. You didn't have to say a word most of the time. You don't have to say anything. In fact, it's probably better if you don't. And so you can listen with soul, I call it. All right. I'm going kind of fast because I'm running out of time. Another thing is that one of these success skills is what we call RPG. RPG is a rocket-propelled grenade launcher. Is one of the most powerful weapons that people carry in war. Well, RPG in our world, in EQ world, in positive mental health world, is resilience, perseverance, and grit. Resilience is getting over things and being able, no matter what happens, I'm pressing on, right? I'm going to be okay. I'm going to keep going. That's resilience and perseverance. Go, go, go. You keep going, right? Don't give up and do suicide or any of that stuff. You keep going. And grit is, this is going to be really hard, and I'm going to do it anyway. I can do it, and I'm going to do it anyway. That's grit. You grit your teeth, and grit is, also University of Pennsylvania that started positive psychology. They have grit for teens, grit for kids, grit for moms, grit for parents, grit for adults. It's great. They've got all these books on grit. It's a real thing. Grit is a real thing. And it's super important that we learn that and be able to deal with stuff, even though it's hard. There is negative stuff. We can deal with it. We can, and we will deal with it, or hopefully. So one of the things that this is what one of the my big motivators, again, I'm going to get teary talking about this, is that sometimes our parents mean well. I think most parents mean well. I think most parents love their kids and try to do the best they can for them. However, some of them are terrible at it. They're awful at it. They don't know because they weren't educated. They're doing what their parents did. Dad did what his dad did, who did what his dad did, and they pass it on and passed on generation. Well, guess what? We got to stop that. We can stop that. We can, and we got to stop that. So this guy in the middle's got the hardest job here. He's getting it. He got it his whole life, but he's not passing it on. He's going, no, you're not doing that. I'm not passing on what you did to me. I'm going to adjust it, spin it to win it. I call it spin it to win it. Means you adjust what you think and feel and have it come out positive toward your kids and their kids. And it's stopping the generational trauma that happens because people have no idea how to deal with their emotions. That's terrible. So do better for your kids and your life. All right, I'm almost done here. Here's some resources. I'll provide the PowerPoint for you later. So we can stay in touch. There's tons of stuff about emotional intelligence, especially starting to be more about positive mental health, I'm happy to say, etc. Again, number one point of this whole thing is emotional responsibility. You are in charge of you. You are in charge of your thoughts, your feelings, all of it, your actions, especially. It's you. So if you don't hear anything else from this, please know that you are in charge of you. That's a very, very big deal. Feelings matter more than we ever imagined. Give yourself what we call permission to feel. That's permission to feel. That means that you allow yourself to feel. Most people don't give themselves permission. They are not safe for themselves. No, it's not okay to be angry. No, it's not okay to be sad right now. It's not okay to be afraid. No, you try it. Try giving yourself permission to feel. As it turns out, actually, that title, that's the exact title of one of the best positive mental health books, in my opinion. Dr. Mark Brackett from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence wrote Permission to Feel. Fantastic book. And actually, you don't have to read it because you got the whole point. If you can do it, you don't have to read the book. Like a lot of personal growth books, you just read the title and you can do the whole, you don't have to read the book. You get the idea. You give yourself permission. There was another one I'm laughing at. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Great title. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That was one of my favorite books. It's changed my life. I've never read it. I've got it on my shelf, and I do it, but I never read it because that title was so good that I got it. Anyway, take emotional responsibility always, 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 always. It's not some of your thoughts and feelings that are yours. They're all of them. Manage your thoughts. You can always at choice about what you think and feel. You get to choose, and I suggest you choose love and choose peace, please, and share it. Share it with someone else. Each one, teach one, we call it. Please tell somebody else if this was helpful for you, or you learn about emotions a little bit. Please share it with somebody else. Okay. So, all right. Do we have thoughts, comments, complaints, criticism? No, you can skip the criticism. Anyway, anything anybody wants to say? Thank you. Excellent. Well, thank you. Thanks for the thank yous.
Very wonderful session, Matt. Last time also I heard, but today you have really connected very well with positive mental health. It's one session. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
yeah, and my question: how does EQ very much connected to moral development, moral result reasoning? Because nowadays, lot of drawbacks we see. People know it cognitively; they know very well. This is right. This is wrong. This they know very well, but
Yeah.
they find very difficult to execute. And how do you understand and what's your opinion?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Values are a big part of this whole thing. They're a big part. Again, it's difficult because it's not taught very well in schools, especially those exact words. These values are important. I don't think they're taught very well, and I believe that as people are aware of their own selves and their own thoughts and feelings, that they will kind of naturally be nicer. They will naturally be more loving. They will naturally be more accepting of other people because they know themselves, and they know that it hurts when you don't accept, and they know that it hurts when you're not okay. And I think people and kids especially, if they know themselves, the better they know themselves, the nicer they are, the more loving they are, the more happy they are, etc. So yes, values have a big part of this whole thing. And I believe that if they know themselves better, they can deal with themselves, and they'll deal with others better. So again, hard to prove, but that's my opinion.
Good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hello, good evening. Am I audible? Matt, thank you so much for this session. We are so grateful. I think at your part of the country, it must be early morning. And in spite of your health concerns that you shared, it's been very inspiring for all of us. And all I would say is that how do you gather your strength? Of course, you've told us all, but and your family is around. But you would like to share that, and your work is itself propelling you to to move ahead forward. If you could just shed some light that how are you working about spreading this? Are you part of an organization? How in your country that you look into for youngsters, especially the school going? In spite of the fact that there are, we hear in the media that there are a lot of shootouts, and there are, I mean, all kind of things that happen. I think they happen everywhere, but that's what we hear. If you could just shed some light.
Yes, sure. Yeah. Thanks for the compliments, by the way. But yeah, we're trying. We're trying. Yes, I'm part of, we have a nonprofit, eqforpeace.org, and we're trying to get emotional education into schools everywhere. We have curriculum, we have assessments. We're coming up with a new website that people can come and learn about emotions and explore them. So you got to have a really safe place to explore inside. I'm doing these talks all over. I've talked to almost 30 colleges and universities. I'm very happy about. We're working with the UN. We're working with government, like in Nepal. We've done a lot of work in Nepal. The Minister of Education for the whole country has approved our curriculum. We can teach in any school. They're like, well, we can't afford it, but if you can pay the teacher and get the class in, we'll let you teach it. So that's pretty cool. And we're doing that. We've done it in like 60 schools. United States, I'm sad to say, is one of the worst. I mean, they're doing what they're doing. I should say we, not they, but we are. I don't know. Don't get me started on that. Anyway, we're one of the worst, in my opinion. We're one of the best and one of the worst, and that's how we are anyway, in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, I'm doing what we can. And like I said, it's about home, work, and school. EQ, it affects us every minute of every day in every area. And so we're trying to teach from the top down, I call it, right? UN is the top. Schools and universities are close. Country level is way up there. So we're going from the top down so that it spreads down. Parents, teachers, bosses, right, who are ripple makers, we call them ripple makers. And so we're trying to spread it from the top down. We're trying to get, the website will be side by side where people are supporting each other. And then we also do from the bottom up, which is kind of fun, is to actually teach kids and let them teach their parents and get their parents involved and get their siblings involved, etc. So that's kind of the bottom up. So every which way we can do it, we're trying to get emotional education and get people get their attention on how to do this stuff, and that is so important. That and emotional responsibility is the key to the whole thing, in my opinion. So I hope that answers your question. We're doing lots and lots about that. Trying to.
Thank you so much for sharing all this. That's a lot of incredible work that you're doing, and we wish you loads of success in all your endeavors for future. If you could just ask one, if I could just ask one more question. My question is that we're taking sessions, we talk about it, but it's been the social conditioning for so many years, and like we talk about generational gap and other things it is embedded in our mind. So we need it's a long drawn process. So how do we work upon the long drawn process? How do we do those recap session? I mean, we get back to them. Is there a mechanism? Is there something that you were talking about, even sharing, you have entire program. So do you have anything structured with you which you can share with us that we can implement with our children here in our country?
Yep. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. I'm happy if you want to contact me offline. I'd be happy to share it with you. No charge or any of that. We do have stuff. We have quite a bit of stuff. And so, and I think one of the most important things is training the teachers and teaching the teachers how to do this. And that you can do, I'll try and keep this short, but you can teach emotions specifically, right? You can spend class time and go, okay, let's talk about this, right? That's specifically, and you can work the emotions into all subject integration, they call it. You can work it into just like using examples, or like for history, right? Something happened, Hitler did what he did. What do you think he was feeling? What do you think he was thinking in order to let himself do that? How did the German people allow themselves to do that, right? And you get kids thinking about their thoughts and feelings. Another thing is one of the most powerful exercises, super simple. I was going to do it in here. It's just ready for this. It's so easy. What are you feeling right now? What are you feeling? And so we have these graphics like the happy face, sad face, grumpy face, all kinds of different faces. And they have a word under each one. And that gives you awareness and acceptance at the same time. And they go around. I know teachers that do this like 3 or 4 times a day, and they'll go and just stop for a minute and go, one word. What are you guys feeling? What are you feeling? Bam, 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 bam. Go, go, go. And it gives, like I said, awareness, acceptance, validation, information, connection. Oh, I'm feeling the same as 3 or 4 other people in here. It's not that big a deal. I'm having an emotion, so are they. Isn't that cool? I'm not alone. I'm not broken. I'm not weird. I'm not an alien. I'm same as everybody else. Oh, cool. That's neat. Right? That's cool. That's a wonderful thing. And then what are you going to do with it? That's a whole different story. But at least what are you feeling? And one more thing is the most powerful times of the day is to ask, and it's not to teach necessarily, it's to ask what's going on for you guys. How was recess? Right after recess, the most emotional times of the day are right when they get there, right when the kids have to transition into school, right after recess and right after lunch, because that means that's when they were together. They're not in controlled classroom environment. They're being themselves. And so how'd it go? What happened for you? What were you thinking and feeling? What did you do with that? Did you notice that some of the kids were left out and they felt bad about themselves or whatever? They got left out, and you know how that feels, that sort of thing. So you can connect with the kids and ask them, and you ask them. You don't tell them, you ask them. And it's a beautiful, beautiful things can come from that. And especially with them sharing with each other. So yeah, I got tons of stuff, information about that. So yes. Yeah. I go on and on.
Yeah, sir, wonderful session. Really,
Oh, good.
I enjoyed very well.
Good.
I would like to know, do you want to recommend any specific book for emotional intelligence?
Well, who's it for? There's lots of them now. There's lots of them. Who's it for? For you? For kids? For who's it for? And what do you want to
me,
know about it?
for us.
For you. Okay. There's the science of it, right? There's a cool stuff about the science of all how it goes on. There's ones that are just emotional, about how to deal with emotions and that sort of thing. There's some combinations of the two. If you like my stuff, I have a book. I can put the link in here. You can have it. It's a Google. I put it into a Google Doc. You can have it if you want. And there's and in there is a bunch of other books, links to other books. That Permission to Feel is a beautiful book. That's a beautiful book. Daniel Goleman's book, the one I showed earlier, called Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Good stuff, but it's business. It's more business oriented, but it's a good if you don't know much about it, it's a good start. It's a good start. But I think my favorite right now would be that Permission to Feel from Mark Brackett, Brackett. Mark Brackett it's about how it works inside of us and how to get it into schools, because they're big on getting it into schools. So that's what I would suggest.
Okay.
Good. Cool.
Thank you, sir.
And Google it, man. There's so much now. I read the other day that it's master's and PhD thesis #1 subject in the world is emotional intelligence. #1 subject. I was like, yes, that's great. Everybody's writing about it because there's so much information and there's so much we don't know about it, and it's so practical and it's so relevant. So by the way, I just uploaded the PowerPoint. Here's I'm putting the link in the chat. I think I put the link in the chat. Okay, I tried to. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so you're welcome to it. It's on Google Drive. Just download it or read it right there. Oh, sure. Matt at eqforpeace.org. Boom, boom. I could put the link to my book in here too if you want. It's too long. It's 300 and something pages. You don't need to read the whole thing, but what you do is go through the table of contents and find stuff that's interesting and read about that because it's too long. It's fun.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you, sir. It was incredible session, sir. You have registered your beautiful thoughts into our hearts, sir. Thank you, sir. Please accept our gratitude on behalf of our Manasa Subhakara Mankar, Elapon Counseling Center, Hyderabad, and Forest Creative Arts Studio, Punjab, sir. Thank you, sir. Really, it's glad to have you, sir. Must be half an hour. Thank you so much.
I got more. I got so much more. I had to cut it all down to get it into and try it. You heard me. I was going as fast as I could. I've got like 600 slides. I got it down to 30 or 40. So there's so much. It's not complicated. None of emotional intelligence is not complicated, but there's a lot to it. There's so much to it that we don't know. There's incredible amounts that we don't know. So go check out the book, and there's tons of stuff in there.